Welcome to the control plane section of the Discover CDP video series. As the name suggests, the control plane provides a single pane of glass view into your CDP infrastructure and the data residing within it. And, like everything else we've discussed in this series, control plane is one part of the Cloudera data platform. The experiences found in control plane give users the ability to manage infrastructure, data, and analytic workloads across hybrid and multi-cloud environments. Let's dive into an example of what you can do with control plane. First, we go to the management console, and this is really a bird's eye view of all our infrastructure. Here, the black tiles represent CDP running on Amazon. The blue tiles are CDP running in Azure, and the orange tiles are either CDH or HDP that you're running on-prem. So this hybrid experience is fundamental because we want to make sure we bring our existing infrastructure through. For example, if we want to move data and workloads, we can start from where we are today without having to start off fresh. So that's sort of a quick view. Now we go back to the homepage, and these same apps that we have in the architecture diagram also are what we have for data management and data analytics. Let's first look at data management itself. Now we're in a replication manager. The replication manager is where we can copy data from on-prem to cloud or back, allowing us to move the data. Here, we can create a replication policy and replicate data either in Hive or HDFS, and we'll soon have Kafka and HBase, and so on. Think of this as a one-stop shop to copy and move data around. Here, the interesting part is that we don't just move the data, but we also move the metadata, security policies, and the lineage. So that's one way to get started with CDP. Now we have all this data. We'll figure out how to move the data and then move the workloads. The other way to do it is to look at our workload manager piece. We have facilities to manage, not just the data, but also the workload themselves. Now going to one of these clusters that we saw in the world map, we see the different workloads that we're running there. We can define these workloads by ourselves. So we're going to one of these workloads called aggregate billing, which is what we use internally to actually look at our workloads. These are billing applications, and we can see all the queries, all the amount of usage, and so on. We have this notion of burst to cloud, so now we can either move our data and then figure out what workloads to move. Or we can start the other way around and say, we know this is the workload we want to run, then we want to go actually burst it out. So here we do both. We actually replicate the data first because obviously we can't run the workload without replication. And we also get a really good idea about what kind of workload it is and what it's going to cost to actually run this in the public cloud. If we have seasonal workloads that we run once a quarter, for example, those are really good candidates to be run through this fashion. Okay, now that we've moved the data, we can use the catalog application to actually manage it. This shows us all the tables that we replicated. Now I'm going to one of these tables called Worldwide Customers. And here we'll see everything we want to know about this table in one place. For example, here you see the lineage. Here's how this table was formed. And more importantly, we also see the impact of changing this table. If we change this table here, the downstream process should be affected by the change. Here's the actual scheme of this table, and we can see the tags that we put on the data and the actual policies. And we have some really interesting features like tag-based policies, which allows us to apply tags and then put authorization on the tag, so we don't have to go to every table to individually manage it. Anything that's tagged as PII will have a consistent security policy. Finally, now that we're set with data management, we can start to use the data warehouse product. So here what you see is something that looks like a SaaS offering, but really all these data and workloads are still running in our accounts. From an enterprise standpoint, this is really important. It would have been very easy for us to go build a SaaS application, but we took the more interesting path to continue to allow enterprise customers control over their data and workloads. Because this is still sitting in your S3 bucket or in ADLS, it's still running workloads in your VPC, and whenever we spin up containers or VMs, it's still running in your public cloud vendor account. With the data warehouse offering, we have this notion of separation of compute and storage. On the left, we have all the catalogs. Think of these as databases, and on the right, we have the actual warehouses. We can easily create a new small, medium, or large warehouse. We can choose the engine we prefer, Hive or Impala, and provide methods to meet SLAs like autoscaling. When large numbers of queries and users are added, the virtual warehouse will autoscale. More importantly, when the queries go away, it will downscale. The idea is to save money if you're not using the product. Similarly, if we had certain security policies, like the tag-based policies, they'll be effectively enforced here. They'll also be enforced if we, for example, use the machine learning product. Here we have a demo set up inside a machine learning workspace. This view is my own personal workspace. Again, the same PII tags would be enforced if we access data through machine learning, data warehousing, data hub, data engineering, operational database, or in the data flow product. As we can see, there's a fundamental focus on making sure that there is strict security and governance across all the workloads. So now, regardless of whether we're in London or in California, we have consistent policies that we can enforce for any workload we run. So that's the control plane experience and how it allows you to easily manage your infrastructure and data throughout the data lifecycle. With that, we've come to the end of our Discover CDP video tour. And hopefully it's shown you how CDP helps you along each step of the data lifecycle, allowing you to manage any analytic workload from the edge to AI.